So what do we think worked well?
I think what worked really well, Rhiann, is that the facilitation that was provided by you and Letitia worked really well because you provided us with a goal, you provided us with a time limit, but then let us completely free to discuss how we'd achieve what was being asked of us. And I think that freedom in a context actually worked really well because we knew we had to deliver something by the end of the day. We couldn't just rabble on endlessly, but we had absolute freedom in the points that we wanted to make, and I think in that respect the project worked really well.
That was our challenge. We were constantly stuck between giving direction and a framework and structure against knowing that what seemed to get you to your destination was talking anyway. So we tried to allow as much free conversation as we possibly could, but still trying to prompt you that we were going somewhere together and we needed to get what we needed.
I think the only thing that probably in retrospect I'd have changed is I think there needed to be more outlets for positive feedback to members of the group. I think there was a feeling among some members of the group that they didn't know that what they were contributing was right or wrong, and there was no mechanism. There was a mechanism for us saying to you and Letitia what was right and wrong because you asked us for feedback at the end of the session, but there wasn't a mechanism for you to provide us with positive feedback about. And I think more use of that's a really interesting point. Yes, I think we could build on that and these kind of positive things, because I did feel some members of the group lacked confidence at some time about whether they were actually doing, because there were no hard and fast rules as to how we would operate. There was no way of knowing whether what we were doing was meeting your needs or not. And I think in that, if I was to sort of go back and say, what would I do differently? I think it would be some kind of mechanism to say, yes, this really works. Let's build on this point so that people know that they were making a positive contribution.
I think, completely agree. When we were going through and collating all the work for the final output, we realised just how much people contributed. And it would have been nice, you're right, to give some kind of feedback about, that's great, or can we swap this out, or can we change this up? So that's absolutely something we'd do going forward. I think for us, what worked and what also made it a challenge was the diverse range of voices in the group. So people from loads of different backgrounds, some people who were really confident in what they were doing, and some people who this was the first time they'd maybe openly discussed mental health or that they'd been in a group like this. So that was a strength in lots of ways because we had discussions I've never had before that came from that. But at the same time, that was our biggest challenge, was how do we make sure everyone feels represented and everyone feels like they have a chance to speak, but we don't want to put people on the spot.
I think your use of different roles actually worked quite well, so that the people who were perhaps least inclined to take part in the discussions were storytellers and actually came up with it was a formal way for them to come up with their contribution, because otherwise I think you would have got the same dynamic that often happens in any group discussions, that the most confident people dominate the conversation, and I think the use of different roles actually helped in that respect.